is that I don't know where I'm going or how I got here, but I'm moving on. Just move on. Excuses that I'm human and I've been doing this for so long. How can I move on? Just move on. Let's move. Can't ignore these bars anymore. Ain't gon' happen. I've been to Charlie Chaplin, I'm rapping. Keyword Chaplin, cause I locked up Charlie. Ain't no silent film. Time to open the caption. The fight's within, and I'm in the alley with matchboxes. Me and my shadow was slap boxing until I disregarded my guard and we had problems. Truth is that I don't know where I'm going or how I got here, but I'm moving on. Excuses that I'm human and I've been doing this for so long. How can I move on? I don't even know. Let me give you a vision. I was a boy looking up to my daddy, Mr. Arthur Leroy, taking care of the family. He was always employed. He's in love with Leanne, she was always his joy. I quit shooting, afraid to miss. I still hear the tune of Praying Lips since '86. Developed a good shot with bad form, cause I ignored him and acted for, and I fast forward the whole time. I'm looking back for him. Don't know where I'm going or how I got here, but I'm moving on. Just move on. Excuses that I'm human and I've been doing this for so long. How can I move on? Just move on. Well, it's easier said than done. It's true. All of these options, I don't really have a clue. I'm feeling overwhelmed, out of place, confused. All of this thinking, I just need to move. Let's keep rolling. Just move on. Just move on. Truth is that I don't know where I'm going and how I got here, but I'm moving on. Just move on. Excuses that I'm human and I've been doing this for so long. How can I move on? Just move on.
Here in your light we find what makes us come alive. A sacrifice of praise. A city on a hill, surrender to your will. Your glory on display. Your glory on display. Awesome in this place. Jesus, you are awesome in this place. Worthy to be praised. Jesus, you are worthy to be praised. You will be praised. sing. Awesome in this place. Jesus, you are awesome in this place. Worthy to be praised. Jesus, you are worthy to be praised. You will be praised. You will be praised. Your praise goes on and on forevermore. We lift the name of Jesus. Your kingdom come is what we're living for. We lift the name of Jesus. Your praise goes on and on forevermore. We lift the name of Jesus. Your kingdom come is what we're living for. We lift the name of Jesus. One name, oh the name of
I stay up too late. Got nothing in my brain. That's what people say. That's what people say.
I go on too many dates, but I can make them stay. At least that's what people say. That's what people say.
But I keep cruising. Can't stop, won't stop moving. It's like I got this music in my mind saying it's gonna be alright. I never miss a beat. Lightning on the feet. And that's what they don't see. That's what they don't see. Haters gonna hate.
I'm just gonna shake, 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 shake.
I shake it off, I shake it off. Heartbreaker's gonna break.
Baker's gonna fake.
I'm just gonna shake.
I shake it off, I shake it off.
Shake it off, shake it off.
I shake it off, I shake it off.
I shake it off, shake it off.
I shake it off, I shake it off.
I shake it off, shake it off. I shake it off, shake it off. I shake it off, shake it off. I shake it off, shake it off.
I'm captivated, I'll say it, I'm on a whole new intrigue. My space invaded, upgraded, I hear you talking to me. It's in the boom of the thunder, it's in the cool of the rain. And I'll say, I don't ever wanna get away. Tonight is beautiful, it's got my mind on you. And everywhere I turn is a reminder. I see you in everything, all day. And every beat of my heart keeps reminding me. I see you in every little thing, all day. No matter where I go, I know your love is finding me. I see you in everything. You're all up in everything. My soul's awake and I'm taken by all the beauty
Crossroads, how you doing this morning? All right, you're small but mighty. If you're in the concourse, come on in. We're starting our service, our second service, and we're starting our new series called Love Song. And we're going to have some fun with this 3-week series. In fact, we asked you to pick your favorite love song, and we did a poll on social media, and you all voted. And part of what I need to do right now is to show you the results of that so you can see there are your votes. And we said that we would play the top 3 vote getters, one in each service and in the series. And so you can see John Legend, All of Me is your #1 song. And so we're going to play that for you and sing for you right now. And I want to introduce Corey. Corey is our guest worship leader today, and he's gracious enough to sing this song as the first thing he does. All right, you ready?
I guess. Man, you guys really, you picked a nice difficult one for me to start off first time ever singing here for, huh? Man, how about that? Woo, yeah. He's ready for it.
What would I do without your smart mouth? Drawing me in and then kicking me out. You got my head spinning, no kidding. I can't pin you down. What's going on with that beautiful mind? I'm on a magical mystery ride, and I'm so dizzy, don't know what hit me, but I'll be alright. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me. I give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me. Will you give me all of you? Oh, cards on the table, we're both showing hearts, risking it all, though it's hard. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me. I give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me. Will you give me all of you? 'Cause I give you all of me. Will you give me all of you? Oh, yeah. Oh, that is so much fun. Thank you so much for picking that song and for letting me sing it. But hey, I don't want to be the only one that's up here singing. I want to have all of us sing. So we're actually going to sing some worship right now. But why don't you stand up and say hi to somebody around you as we get ready to sing? Love is my our chaos back into order. Who makes the orphan your son and daughter? The King of glory, the King of glory, who rules the nations with truth and justice, shines like the sun in all of its brilliance. The King of glory, the King of our yeah, this is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. That you would take my place. That you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, and I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Come on, we sing worthy. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. And worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. And worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Oh, this is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. That you would take my place. That you would bear my cross. You laid down your life. Then I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Oh, all that you've done for me. Woo! Well, hey, I know every single one of us is coming in here with different things on our hearts today. But as we continue to sing today, I want to invite you, no matter what it is you had coming in, no matter what you're thinking about leaving this place, just lay all of that down for just a moment as we sing together. Won't you join us? We sing He's coming on the cloud. He's coming on the clouds. Kings and kingdoms will bow down. Man, you guys sound fantastic this morning. And that word is so true. Nothing can get in the way of our God, and our God is greater than any circumstance. Won't you continue to sing with us this morning?
Who am I that the highest would welcome? I was lost, but He brought me in His love for me. His love for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Realized He has ransomed His grace runs. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, He died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
So no matter what it is you're facing today, we can hold firm to that promise that God calls us His children. Won't you sing with me? I am chosen, not forsaken. Sing. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Come on. I am
Chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am.
morning we're going to sing one more song together. And it's a song some of you might know, but some of you might not as well. It's called Do It Again. And see, this song is all about those times in our life. And maybe you're in one of these seasons right now where you're just facing down a giant, where you see something that's right in front of you that seems way too big to overcome. Maybe it's some health issue. Maybe it's your job. I don't know what everybody's walking in with today, but I know that some of you are walking through that. But see, this song is all about when we look back on those times in our life where we've walked through similar situations. And God was bigger. And he did amazing things in those times. And we can hold firm to that promise that he'll do it again. So as we sing this, it's my hope that you'll make the words of the song your words today. And maybe even sing along with us. Won't you join me? Walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet. And I know the night won't last. Your word will come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again. Your promise still stands. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet. You've never failed me yet. No matter what it is you've got going on today, know that our God is bigger. Our God is greater than any circumstance you could be facing. So won't you make the rest of this song your words today and sing it out with us. Seen you move. I've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way when there is no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I'll see
And Father God, as we come to you this morning, there are many of us, if not all of us, who need you to move a mountain. We need you to move the mountain of finances. We need you to move the mountain of stress. We need you to move the mountain of sickness. We need you to move the mountain of relational difficulty. And we call upon you, God. Again, you have been faithful to us in the past, and we now ask that you would do it again. That you would do it again. That you would send a miracle in our lives by moving the mountains. And all God's people said, amen. You may be seated. Hey, my name's John. I serve as one of the pastors here, and I am so glad that you have joined us here at Crossroads, either by being here or by joining us online. Here at Crossroads, we have this mission statement. We say that we are for you, for Jesus, for a better life. You know, a lot of churches, they are known by what they're against. We want to be known by what we're for. We are for you. We are for Jesus. We are for a better life. And that's why we just so much enjoy being together in this community of faith. So glad you're here today. So glad you made the choice, and it is a choice to be here, to faithfully worship God every Sunday. Thank you so much. And we are so thankful today for our veterans. You know, as I was thinking early this morning, you know, I have grown up in a safe country. I have grown up and I have been protected by our armed forces who have fought their way for my freedom and for your freedom. And if you're a veteran today, since tomorrow's Veterans Day, we're going to ask you to stand, and we just want to honor you. Veterans, stand if you would. Lights are coming up. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for serving our country. Thank you. We are blessed to live in our country. I'd like for everybody, if they would, to go ahead and take out your connection card. And I mean everybody, would you please do that? Thank you very much. And minimally, we ask that you go ahead and give your name and your email address. And then I invite you to take that card. It's not very hard to do. I invite you to take that card and drop it in the baskets as you leave the auditorium today. Now, to those of you who are guests, we are glad that you are here. One of our values is belonging. We make it easy for people to connect. And our hope is that even if this is your first time today, that you already feel like you belong. We are so glad that you are here. I invite you to take the before-mentioned connection card and go ahead and take it right back there to the connection point, and trade it in for a cool gift. This is just our way of saying thanks for coming, and we hope that you will come back again and again. And we thank those of you Crossroaders who are inviting your friends and family to Crossroads. It's an honor for us to know that you would think enough of our church family to be inviting your friends and your family. Keep it up. We love it when you do that. Well, we're going to receive the offering here in just a moment. And the offering is just one way to give. Another way to give is by going online, crossroadson23.com, or by texting Crossroads on 23 to 77977. And one of our values here at Crossroads, we've already talked about, come on, you can go ahead and receive the offering if you would. One of our values is engagement. We're a community of contributors, not consumers. And one of the ways that so many of you contribute is through the offering. Thank you so much. It enables us to have a fantastic kids ministry and a fantastic student ministry, and enables us to impact Metro Toledo as well. Well, as always, we have a lot going on, so let's check out at Crossroads.
Hey, Crossroads, my name is Andy Springer, and here's what's happening. Are you ready to take the next step? There are many ways to make that happen here at Crossroads. Whether it's being baptized, serving on a ministry team, or becoming a member of Crossroads itself. Find the next step that works for you and make it happen. You'll notice people passing out bags at the exit today. Take one to help provide full Thanksgiving meals to over 300 families through our food drop. It's easy, instructions are on the bag. You can also donate funds to help us purchase turkeys. They are $15 each. Just write turkeys on your offering envelope. The message is coming up soon, so let's get started. Stay connected at Crossroads by downloading our mobile app or visiting crossroadson23.com.
I read it wrong. I read it wrong. I'm not venting. Would you rather burp in your partner's face or sneeze in your partner's face? I think I've done both, so I think more would she rather have. Probably burp. It doesn't leave any, typically doesn't leave anything on her face, so probably. Would you rather have a partner that always looks nice or a partner that always smells nice? I'm gonna have to go with smell. Smell would be a stinky partner is probably not a good idea. Would you rather spend a day with your mother-in-law or spend a day with your father-in-law? Are they in church today? Not sure how to, it depends who's here. If they're here this Sunday, I'd rather spend with my mother-in-law. If they're not here this Sunday, father-in-law? Would you rather live your life literally stuck to your partner, like sewn together, or have a long-distance relationship, only see your partner one day a year? I'm guessing April is here, so let's be sewn together. Some good answers right there, I tell you. That's right. So we're starting our sex series. We're talking about sex, we're talking about love, we're talking about dating, we're talking about relationships, right? And maybe you didn't know that, and now you do. But it's exciting. And we're talking out of the book of Song of Solomon. Song of Solomon was like, when I was in junior high, that was like the junior high giggle book, right? Pastor would always be like, what's your favorite verse? And we'd be like, quick, look something up in Song of Solomon, see if we can get him to read it, right? And that's what we did because we were childish and in junior high, and not a lot has changed. Matter of fact, the last time John did a message on Song of Solomon, the staff, we still go back and watch it and laugh. So you can do some pretty funny things with video editing also. But I'm excited. We got 3 weeks of this. I think it's something important to talk about. I think it's something that we need to talk about. I think it's something that we can laugh about. I think God has a sense of humor. Just saying. It's going to be fun. Next week, not going to want to miss it, Mark is preaching, and he is talking about sex. So that's next week. Mark, yeah? He told me it's going to be a very powerful message. Short, but powerful. So I don't know what that means. And then John is going to preach the last week. He gets to follow that up. And talk about action. What we want to do, what we say we want to do in our relationships, and maybe putting action to that rather than just saying it. So this week, though, we're going to talk about like the beginning. We're going to talk about what we're attracted to, what we should be attracted to, and maybe some of the qualities that we want to be attracted to and what the Bible talks when it comes to that. So, we kind of do this when we're dating, right? Like that's how we figure out who somebody is, what we're attracted to. It's how we get to know somebody. But it's kind of a funny concept, dating. The best way that we have in our culture to get to know somebody is a time where we get together and we dress like we normally don't, we talk like we normally don't, we do what we normally don't, and we go in a setting that we normally are not in. And that's how we get to know each other. Makes good sense. I can remember my first dating experience with April. Many of you know that she is legally blind. A lot of you are like, oh, that makes sense. And you see me, and this makes sense. But anyway, our first date, no joke, you guys think I'm making this up, but was a blind date. And I'm not kidding. Somebody in our church set us up, and I actually got her number by getting her to volunteer for a youth event. So That's what youth pastors do, just saying. And then we finally went our first real date. We've been trying to like find a time to get together, get to know each other a little bit. And so I remember she finally said, why don't you come over after work, pick me up, and we'll go out on a date. And so I got ready, right? I got my truck, I got it all ready. I used to have a truck, I missed that. Now we have an ungodly amount of kids, so I can't have a truck anymore. So, but I got my truck, and, I got all dressed up, right? I got my cargo khaki shorts on, my polo shirt. Apparently, cargo khaki shorts are out now, but not in this house. So and I showed up, and I answered the door. I knocked on the door, and I'm ready. I'm like, let's go hang out. Let's go do something. I don't know. We'll go somewhere fancy, maybe Taco Bell. And I opened the door, and I'll remember this to this day. She's in like a full pantsuit. I'm like, I did not get that memo. Like, I got my cargo khaki. I was like, there's no way the second date's happening. And I couldn't figure out, like, why are we dressed up so much and why am I not? And so I was like, we're obviously going somewhere special. I was like, where do you want to go? She's like, I don't know. There's a Denny's down there. I was like, I am so confused. Like, is this how you dress when you go to Denny's? I don't know. We went to Denny's, no joke, and I'll never forget, she ordered the buffalo chicken salad, and I guess, I don't know, Denny's pantsuit, buffalo chicken sauce all over her face. I knew first love at first sight. So, we've never been back to Denny's since. But it's funny what we do, to get to know somebody else in our dating. Side note to those of you that are trying to meet Mr. or Mrs. Right, just a side note for you, best way to get to know somebody, watch how they act with their friends, see how they treat their parents. That's how you'll get to really know somebody. That's for free. But moving on to what we're talking about today, it's really important where we start. It's really important what we try to attract somebody to, because here's the reality. What you win them with sets the basic and probably starting foundation for a long relationship. What you win them to, right, is really going to define the future of your relationship. And so that's the question today is, what do you win them to? Like, what are the qualities that we should have within ourselves? What are the qualities that we should look for in someone else? If you're here today and you're married, you probably shouldn't be looking for Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, I'm just saying. So that might not apply to you. But one thing that you can look at is, what are the qualities that you should be developing within yourself to grow you closer in your relationship with your spouse and closer in your relationship with God? Because what I find is these characteristics, these attributes that we should try and build in ourselves, that we should try and attract others to, that we should look for in other people, are the same qualities that we should build up in our own marriages. And so I think this really applies to both of us. So, like I said, we're going to talk about Song of Solomon. It was a book written by Solomon about 965 BC. And so if you want to turn to that in your phones or in your apps, we'll put some of it on the screen. There's a couple different interpretations of this book. One is that it's Christ's love for the church and that it's an allegory. A second interpretation is that it's just a love story between two people, a very passionate pursuit of each other. And we're going to go with that today and talk about how that plays out as we talk about the 4 qualities that attract the right kind of person. So let's dive into that. So Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 2. She says this. She says, "Kiss me and kiss me again, for your love is sweeter than wine. How pleasing is your fragrance. Your name is like the spreading fragrance of scented oils. No wonder all the young women love you." Okay, so a couple things that we got to understand within context here, and I underlined them in the verse, the scented oils and your name. So scented oils back then, purified oil was a very valuable thing, very rare. Like even more than today. Like, did you know, like I looked this up, this is crazy to me, but like essential oils, like you can get a 5-ounce bottle of essential oils, and it can cost you like $190. I missed out on that business model. I don't fully understand it, but I'd like to sell some of it and make some of that money. I'm kind of the guy, I'm a little more simple. I'm like, let's just mix some vegetable oil and maybe some Glade and call it good. Anyways, then $190 wouldn't get you close because it was so rare. Like, it was so expensive. And then when she says name, she means like not that your name is so good, but that your reputation and your character. No wonder all the young women love you, not because of the way you look, but because of who you are, your character. And this is the first quality that attracts the right person: godly character. Godly character. You can write this in your program. There are a spot for notes, and it's going to list the 4 qualities. And we'll talk about one overarching thing today also. See, here's the mistake. Here's the mistake, and it sounds good, but it's not really good, is that we go into this seeking for the right partner, and we seek God to find us the right partner. And everything about that sounds good, and you've probably heard people say it, but it's not. See, actually, there's a different thing that we should do, and it's that we should seek God. See, if you want to attract the right partner, you need to seek God first, not seek God in order to get something. Right? The big difference is this: someone who seeks God to get you is a very different person than someone who seeks God even if they don't get you. Right? That we seek after God to get what we want versus we seek after God because He is the priority. This godly character says, I will honor God in all I do. Let me tell you, if you want a godly marriage someday, then start living a godly life today. You might say, well, but I get that, but I always feel like I attract the wrong person, attract the wrong type of person. Here's what Craig Groeschel says when he preached on this very topic. He said, if you don't like the fish you're catching, then look at the bait you're using. Because what you win people to really sets a foundation for your relationship. What are you selling? Are you selling your skin? Are you selling that gym body that you worked so hard for? No problem with that here. Are you searching or selling this idea that is not regularly you? Wait till you get married, and then you're shocked to find out the same thing they were selling was not regularly them either. Because like attracts like. See, you need to depend on God, not for your partner, but just to depend on God. See, there's this great book that I would recommend anybody read. It's by Les and Leslie Parrott. It's called Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. And it actually, I think one of the subtitles is 7 things that you should ask yourself, and then even after your marriage starts. Great book, whether you're married or whether you're looking to get married. Matter of fact, last Thursday, I bought a copy to give away free today. Used Amazon one-day ship, and they'll ship it out on Monday. So that didn't work out. But maybe I'll give it to Mark, and next week he can pass that out. But they talk about this in their relationships. They say there's 3 types of relationships. One type of relationship is an A-frame relationship. This is the movie relationship. This is what everybody sees on TV and goes, oh, that's awesome. And the A-frame is because the two are leaning against each other. And they say A-frame relationship has a strong couple identity, little individual self-esteem. They're a unit, which sounds good, right? Versus separate individuals. They lean on one another, but if one lets go, the other falls. See, this fails when one partner outgrows his dependency needs on the other. And these type of relationships are reliant on each other versus God. You know, the movie phrase, you complete me, which actually is proven not just in the Bible, but also just in our study of relationship as a good way to fail a relationship. And so they are reliant on each other over God. The second type they talk about is H-frame relationships. And it's represented by 2 people standing next to each other and not dependent on each other. Partners stand virtually alone, self-sufficient, neither influenced much by the other, little or no couple identity. And if one lets go, the other hardly feels a thing. This is the reliant on self over God. They say what is a good relationship, as they've studied this for years, is M-frame relationships, represented by 2 people standing next to each other holding hands. And as they hold hands, it rests on interdependence. Each partner has a high self-esteem, committed to helping the other partner grow, but could stand on their own. but choose to be together, involves mutual influence and emotional support, and exhibits this meaningful couple identity. But if one lets go, the other feels lost but recovers balance. See, because these relationships are reliant on God and help each other grow towards Him. This is the difference. See, marriage, it's not so much about finding the right person. It's about becoming the right person. And if you catch nothing else today, catch this. This is in your notes there. The person you're destined to be with is the person you decide to become. The person you're destined to be with is the person you decide to become. You want to marry a godly man or woman? Then become a godly man or godly woman. Become the person that you're seeking after, because you're destined to be with the person you decide to become. Here's what it says in verse 5, as she says, I am dark, but beautiful. O women of Jerusalem, dark as the tents of Kedar, dark as the curtains of Solomon's tents. Don't stare at me because I'm dark. The sun has darkened my skin. My brothers were angry with me. They forced me to care for their vineyards, so I couldn't care for myself, my own vineyard. So we got to understand this verse in the context of today, right? Today, it's it's attractive to be dark, right? That's why there's businesses out there. If you can't be dark from the sun, you fake and bake, you spray it on, you do whatever you can, right, to have a darker complexion. But back then, it was different. Back then, it was more attractive to be fair-skinned, because to be fair-skinned meant you probably came from a family of prominence, and you could afford workers to work in the field, and you didn't have to. And so what she's saying is, I'm insecure. I'm insecure about the way that I look. And we can all relate, right? Maybe it's about the way we look. Maybe it's about the success we've had or haven't had. Maybe it's about our job. But we can all find insecurities within ourselves, and she shares those. And here's what's happening here. And here's what happens when we share these insecurities with someone else. It's a test. It's a test to build trust. See, people start to share their insecurities to see how you respond to them. And it's called building trust. And he loves her in spite of her insecurities. And it talks about that later down in the chapter. And this is the second quality that attracts the right person, is growing trust. Growing trust. We all have insecurities. You know, I've discovered in myself as I've grown older that I kind of have a defense mechanism about this, and I don't even know how to turn it off anymore. See, you talk to anybody that's around me long enough, and they'll tell you, I don't know what he's thinking, right? And they'll be like, I can't read him, which is extremely helpful when I'm trying to pull a prank on somebody. But when I'm trying to have a relationship with somebody, it's harder because I have this defense mechanism that says you can't read me. You can't tell what I'm thinking. You can't tell how I feel. And so therefore you can't hurt me because you don't know how I feel. And you can't read me. And so I can shift any situation to make it that I am not embarrassed. And this is why trust is so huge to me. When I talk with my kids about it, I'm like, that's the biggest thing. My kids can do the worst thing ever, but if they lie to me, like I try to explain to them, this changes the relationship completely, that I won't be able to trust you next time. And here's the thing with trust, it's built slowly but destroyed quickly. And I'll tell you that as you build this trust, growing trust over time by the way that you respond to things, it is an amazing lifeline through struggle. Trust is an amazing lifeline through struggle. You know, this is why I think setting this foundation for marriage brings a lot of trust. And the foundation is that for me and April, we say, when we started marriage, I can't say where we'll end up, but when we started marriage, divorce was never an option. And I don't know everybody's situation, and I know every situation is different, and so please don't apply, maybe where you ended up to what I'm talking about now, but I am talking about when you start a relationship, you do have a choice. Whether it ends up in divorce or not, you do have a choice to say, hey, on this foundation, divorce is not something that we'll talk about. Divorce is not something that'll come up. You know what kind of trust that builds? To say that no matter how much I've screwed up, no matter how many mistakes I make, that it's just not an option. I have some friends that are much older than me that for 10 years lived in separate homes because they couldn't figure out how to get along. And they were married, right? But they said divorce is not an option. This doesn't work for everybody. But for them, they said divorce is not an option. And so for 10 years, they worked on their marriage. And probably for the last 15, they've lived a pretty awesome marriage together in the same house. What kind of trust that builds when we say divorce is not an option? Qualities that attract the right person, godly character and growing trust. Here's the key, it's about you, not them. Because the person that you're destined to be with is the person you decide to become. In verse 7, she says, "Tell me, my love, where are you leading your flock today? Where will you rest your sheep at noon? For why should I wander like a prostitute among your friends and their flocks?" Here's what she's saying. She's saying, I've seen your friends. I've seen the prostitutes that hang around them and what they do. I just want you to know, here's what she's saying, there are some things I just won't do to get you. I'm not going to be like them, which is the third quality that attracts the right person, higher standards. Higher standards. In today's culture, I know this. You know this. In today's culture, it's totally and completely acceptable to have sex before marriage. Like, that's a part of culture. And many of us have maybe either messed up in that way or seen that or understand that. But can I tell you that, you know what else is perfectly normal in today's culture? To have some pretty screwed up marriages that do not last. And I want to tell you, if you want what everybody else has, then do what everybody else does. But if you want something different, then you've got to do something different. And the Bible teaches that sex doesn't exist outside of the context of marriage. It wasn't designed for that. I mean, God designed everything that has to do with sex. As much as maybe you don't hear it talked about in the church and you think, oh, everything was his idea and his creation to exist within the context of marriage. And so when you're seeking after that right partner or when you're with that right partner, you have two options. You can either sin together or honor God together. And you might sit there today and go, well, thanks. This is exactly what I think of church because I've already messed up and I know what church is like. I just show up and you tell me the ways that I've messed up. Look, there's no judgment here. None. Here's one of my problems with the church's approach to purity is sometimes we elevate this idea of sex before marriage and forget about everything else. And there's Christians going around going, yep, I saved myself for marriage. But you don't want to see the stuff I watch on TV. And I think, is purity something that you are? Like, is it a perfection? Because I've yet to meet a person that's perfect in their actions in life. Or is it something you seek after? Because I don't see a difference between somebody that brags about saving themselves for marriage but looks at all of this crud with their mind. Right? What's pure about that? So purity is less to do with where you've been and more to do about where you're going. Because I can't change where you've been. You can't change where you've been. But you can determine where you end up. And I've seen lots of marriages who said, hey, we've screwed up in this area. But we decided from this day forward, we're going to change. We're going to seek after God. We're not going to sin together. We're going to honor God together. Some people say, oh, yeah, but we just want to test out this marriage thing to see how it works, right? Like you can really test out something that's supposed to be permanent in a temporary situation. Those don't work. But anyways, and they say, but we just live together. It's financially good for us, but we're going to save sex for marriage. We don't have. Let me tell you, if you really love that person and you're seeing them as you live together in certain circumstances that you normally don't see them, and you're not having sex, something be wrong. I'm just saying. Just saying. Here's the other thing. You can throw the Bible out. You can just look at the study of culture. They say that those that cohabitate before they're married have double the chance of ending in divorce. And that's not from the Bible. And I'm not saying this to shame you. I'm just saying in a time when so many marriages fail and fall apart, don't you want every advantage that you could possibly have? And it's not so much about what you've done, it's about where you're going. So this idea of purity isn't something that you are or that you aren't, it's something that you seek after. And I've seen plenty of marriages blessed in a different way because they said, okay, from this, we're going to do different. We're going to get married, but from this point on, we're going to make this commitment, God, to do different. Because if you want something different, you got to do something different. And from this point on, we're going to honor God. It doesn't matter what we did in our past. It matters where we're going in our future. Sounds a lot like the gospel, right? Qualities that attract the right person, godly character, growing trust, and higher standards. It's about you, right? It's not about them, it's about you. Because you're destined, the person you're destined to be with is the person you decide to become. And she goes on in verse 9, she says, right? He says, actually, she was insecure about her skin, right? And he responds this way. He says, you are as exciting, my darling, as a mare among Pharaoh's stallions. Okay, essentially here, he's calling her an adult female horse. This requires some explanation, right? No one from Hallmark is busting down his doors to say, write these cards for me, right? Like if I'm calling April a horse, I know what's happening. I'm spending the night on the couch, right? We got to have context here, though. And the context is this, that Pharaoh's mare was a white horse that pulled Pharaoh's chariot. Related, they considered to a deity. It was one of the most prized animals, beyond value. And it was white. And remember, what was she insecure about? That her skin was dark. Dark? No, he says. She is gorgeous to me. Like a white horse, beyond value. Right? Qualities that attract the right person. Consistent encouragement. Consistent encouragement. So as I said in the beginning, April is legally blind. And you would never know it because of what she's able to do. And I've always known of what she's able to do. Sometimes she functions so well that I forget, and I do stupid stuff, but it's hard to remember. But I'll always be like, hey, I remember when we got married, there was a lot of things other people did for her, and I was like, you can totally do that. Like, I've seen the way you function, like, to the point now where I'm like, hey, you could be on stage. You're a great speaker. That doesn't have anything to do with my encouragement, right? That's her ability, but I'm like, I'm sure that every week that you come out here and MC, you're nervous about tripping over this. But I'm telling you, you could do it. I try my best to encourage her. Sometimes I drive her nuts and go a little far with what I encourage her to do. But technically, when she tore her ACL downhill skiing, it wasn't my fault. I mean, I was like, hey, if you can see shapes, just avoid the shapes. You can ski, you got this, right? Also, she skied on a broken ACL all day long. We didn't know it was broken. I was like, buck up, you got this. That's encouragement, yeah. And she encourages me too when I open up and when I share, and it helps me through those moments. And then watch this. He says this in verse 15. He says, how beautiful you are, my darling. How beautiful your eyes are like doves. And she says, you are so handsome, my love. And so, get this, 4 qualities: godly character, growing trust, higher standards, consistent encouragement, all first. And what's last? The physical. This is great news for me, right? Yeah. It's more about my character and the trust and the standards and the encouragement than it is the way I look. The person you're destined to be with is the person you decide to become. And the physical is last. Here's the result we see in chapter 2. Chapter 2, 1 through 2. It says, I am the spring crocus blooming on a Sharon plain, the lily of the valley. Like a lily among thistles is my darling among young women. She's saying, I am special. I am valued. I'm treasured. We started, right? I'm insecure. But with you, I feel valued. I feel treasured. Let me tell you, if you're with somebody and you don't feel better about yourself with them, but you feel worse about yourself, there's probably something wrong. And then in 3, she says, like the finest apple tree in the orchard, my lover is my lover among other young men. I sit in his delightful shade and taste his delicious fruit. She's saying, in his shade, I feel secure. I feel secure. Craig Rochelle, who speaks on this is what he says. Husbands, this is for you. He says, your spouse, your wife, should feel secure. And he says there's 3 roles that he believes that a husband should fulfill for his spouse. That they should be their pastor, their provider, and their protector. Pastor, provider, and protector. And here's what he says. He says, set the tone, husbands. Set the tone. You may not be as religious, or you may not have as strong of a relationship with God as your spouse does. That doesn't mean anything as far as setting the tone. Set the tone for your family. Pray at dinner. Set the tone. Open the Word. Set the tone. Say to your family, hey, family, we are a go-to-church family. We're not a stay-at-home family. Because let me tell you this, rarely do stay-at-home parents raise go-to-church kids. Set the tone. Provider. This doesn't mean that you're going to make more money. In many cases, it has absolutely nothing to do with making money. But set the tone. Say, family, we're going to live beneath our means. We're not going to be a family that has no margin. And we're going to put God first. And we're going to tithe the 10% to God and put Him first. And be the protector. Be the protector for your spouse. Protect her physically. Unless she can beat you up, then she can protect you. But more importantly, protect her heart. Nothing ticks me off more than when my kids hurt my wife's heart. Nothing ticks me off more than when other people hurt my wife's heart. But you know who hurts my wife's heart the most or can cut the deepest? Me. It's true. In our relationships, be a protector. And wrap up, this is what he says. He says, actually she says, strengthen me with raisin cakes, refresh me with apples, for I am weak with love. His left arm is under my head, his right arm embraces me. A couple things here. One, raisin cakes. So something you need to know, that raisins are an aphrodisiac. It's true. You look it up. Aphrodisiac. Matter of fact, I went home, I told April this week. I was like, hey, I learned raisins are an aphrodisiac. Yesterday, I went to Aldi and I pulled up our Google shopping list. There was one item on it. Raisins. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Preach on this topic more often. So I went home, I was like, I saw what you put on the shopping list, right? And we have a little Google assistant at home that we can talk to, and she's like, I didn't put it there. I was like, I didn't put it there. Google be listening to everything, I tell you. But anyways, aphrodisiac. And then what does he say? Where does she say? Where's the hands, right? He says, left, that's this one, right? Left arm is under my head. His right arm embraces me. Right? Yeah, that's where he's going. She wants to give herself to him. Why? Because of his good looks? Nope. It's part of it. Because of his success? No. But because of his godly character, his growing trust, higher standards, and consistent encouragement. If we could get these things right, if we could strive towards these things, I think that it would change the people that we attract. I think that it would change the way we exist within our marriages. Because the person you're destined to be with is the person you decide to become. Do you want something better for your marriage? Or you just want what everybody else has? Because if you want something better, you got to do something different. And in Matthew 6:33, it says this. We'll put it on the screen. It says, seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything you need. Does it say seek God to find a spouse? Does it say seek God? It just says seek the kingdom of God first, and everything else will come after that. Marriage is not so much about finding the right person, it's about becoming the right person. And that's why the person you're destined to be with is the person you decide to become. You want to marry a godly man? You want to marry a godly woman? Then start becoming a godly man or a godly woman today. You want to have a godly marriage? Then start becoming a godly man or a godly woman today. You know, I would challenge you. You all got a connection card with action steps that you can turn in when you leave today. But I would challenge you, based on where you're at, if you're seeking after that special someone, trying to attract that special someone, maybe that this week you say, I'm just going to seek God first before a future spouse. Or maybe you do this like I did, and you just write character, trust, standards, and encouragement on a card. Stick it on the mirror in your bathroom, and just see that each day and say, how am I doing? Character, trust, standards, encouragement. You want something different? Then you got to do something different, because the person you're destined to be with is the person you decide to become. Let's pray. Lord, we just thank you for your word. We thank you for your word on this topic. And we thank you that we can learn, that we can laugh here, that we can enjoy each other, and that we thank you that you gave us relationship. And so I pray this morning for those marriages that need to hear that. I pray for those single people here today that have dealt with the pain of divorce, that need to just seek you, that we live in a world of sin, and it's, you know, sometimes it's not even our fault, the things that come into our path. But if we could seek you, that you can bring us healing, that we seek you first, that you will give us all that we need. And lastly, I just pray for those that are in the situation today that they're just wondering, who's that person? How do I attract the right person? How do I set the foundation for a future marriage? How do I seek God first? I just pray that that's what they would do. They would come away from here and go, you know what, I'm going to seek first his kingdom because I know that I can trust that he'll give me all I need. Just thank you for that. In your name we pray. Amen. You know, every week there are people up here. And if you come in today and you're like, man, I could just really use somebody to pray for me. There are people up here to pray. We'd love to meet you if you're new at Connection Point. Don't forget those cards to turn out. And be here next week, right? Pastor Mark? And you already know the topic, so don't miss it.
Rise and shine, for the light has come. We won't hide, gonna tell the world. There's never been a love so strong. I'll sing it louder than before. I feel it burning in my bones. Gonna let it go, gonna let it go. Burn brighter, radiate the light. We'll sing it out till our world's alive. Burn brighter, fearless in the fight. Light, light, light up the darkness. Radiate, your kingdom's burning bright. Love resounds, piercing through the night. There's never been a love so strong. I'll sing it louder than before. I feel it burning in my bones. Gonna let it go, gonna let it go. Burn brighter, radiate the light. We'll sing it out till our world's alive. Burn brighter, fearless in the fight. Light, light, light up the darkness. Brighter, radiate the light. We'll sing it out till our world's alive. Burn brighter, fearless in the fight. Light, light, light up the darkness. We'll sing it out till our world's alive. Burn brighter, fearless in the fight. Light, light, light up the darkness. Light up the darkness.
Some days life feels perfect, other days it just ain't working. The good, the bad, the right, the wrong, and everything in between. Yo, it's crazy, amazing. We can turn our heart through the words we say. Mountains crumble with every syllable. Hope can live or die. So speak.